Thank you very much for the warm welcome. It is my absolute pleasure to be here today and to deliver for you a status report together with some very important and, I believe, exciting information. Now, as Stefan mentioned before, myself and Frank and Stefan have been going through over the last few weeks some very extensive meetings to work out and to finalize on the business plan of our next steps in our plastic waste to fuel operations. Stefan and I, we've known each other since the early 2002, I believe. And for me, he's more closer, without any disrespect, than my actual blood brother. And as things go forward and you work very closely with someone, you learn to know the other person very well. And we are both very passionate on what we're doing, like everyone in the management team of our companies. And sometimes, as he said, things are a little bit heated up when we're trying to find the best solution and the best way to take things forward. But in the end of the day, because of the fact that everyone in the team is trying their best to find and to identify the best solution that is not only good for the company, but for our planet and everyone who is supporting our mission and supporting this business that we're all in together. So I'm very happy. Could we get the slide up, please? I'm very happy that we are here today and we're officially launching the Socium Advanced Waste to Fuel Business Division. Thank you. Now, to begin with, and before we go forward, I would like us to take a step back and to start off by analyzing and identifying the core assets of our group of companies. Any company out in the market should know what are their core assets. And I'm not aware if you guys are aware, but the most valuable core asset of our entire group of companies is you. Every leader, every follower, and every member of the Cloud Horizon network, everyone who works with our company or for our companies, everyone in our offices and every member of the management team, a total of approximately 35,000 people around the world who believe that we are the company that can provide and deliver a truly working solution to each and every location around the world where we need technologies and know-how how to clean up our planet from plastic waste pollution. That group of people, you, are the most valuable core asset of our business. Two other valuable core assets are the knowledge and the experience that we have gained over the months, now approximately 18 months that we have been involved in this industry. Those are something that you cannot buy with money and you cannot learn them in the school. Next slide, please. Focus is a very important, very powerful word. And we have gone through over the last months a lot of work to pinpoint and to truly identify what are the areas that we are really good at. What are we good at as a company, and what are we good as a management team? And I've said this over and over and over again throughout whole 2019, that we as a company, as Socium or Sepco Industries, we are not in the machinery manufacturing business. Any one of you who's heard me listen on the webinars or on the events, I'm sure you have heard this. We are in the business of transferring or converting plastic waste into fuel, selling oil, and trading plastic waste raw material. We are very good at business development, finding opportunities, locating these amazing opportunities and landfills around the world where we can secure the raw material that we need for this business for the next coming decades. We are also very good at securing financing, and something that I'm very proud to say is we are very good at closing deals. Additionally to that, we are extremely talented in the real estate development business. And the ones of you who've been to Koh Chang, you've seen the resort that has been built over there alongside with many other real estate projects that we've already completed through the management team in our companies. Those are the areas that we're going to be focusing more and more in the future. And during the next minutes, it will all become more clearer to you. Next slide, please. I would like to say a few words about meaningful partnerships. Stefan said a few points already, and I'm going to elaborate on those a little bit. Now, when we got started, approximately 18 months ago, there was very, very few key players on the market. But since then, a lot of things have happened. And also, a lot of good new technologies have been developed. There's also been some companies that have been around already for several years, and they have continued to develop their technologies, and right now, they are in a state where they actually become very good and very workable. Now, what I would like us to remove from our mindset is an idea that in order for us to win, somebody else has to lose. And many times when we focus on our own product or our own service, we kind of go into this competition mode. But the reality is that in order for us to win, we need to do a very, very good job. And we need to be able to continuously move forward. Because the reality is that we as a company, we live in an ecosystem where we need to support other partners and we need the support from other partners. And through this, instead of fighting and competing against the market, we should be working together with the market. And that is exactly what we're going to be doing now during the years 2020 and 2021. Now, what does it mean? It means that we are going to continue to work and to support SEPCO Industries and the work and the teams behind the Polypetron. And our target is to make the Polypetron PP5 to become the most efficient technology in the world. That target has not changed in any level. But at the same time, we are also going to start using other technologies that are out in the market. And in that way, working together with the market instead of fighting against it. Next slide, please. Now, I'll give you a very simple example why. And this is something that some of you in this room have been involved with as well. Some of you have been with me in those trips where over the last 18 months we've traveled all four corners of the world. We've been into some of the most remote places in the world, including Uzbekistan, all around Africa, in South America, through Balkans and so on. And all of these places where we've been to, we visited the local authorities and been in the landfills, and it was actually my father who said a very funny thing. That he said that why is it that every single time when I send a photo of myself to him, I'm always surrounded by all this huge waste of garbage behind me? But that's been the theme of our trips for the last year and a half. So every time when we go to see a new location, we always want to check out the garbage dumps. You learn a lot from the people by looking at their garbage, believe me. But the situation in these places are usually, and is usually very identical. It's very similar. We have the governments who are drowning in plastic garbage, and they are welcoming us to come to their cities, take over their landfills, and help them to solve this problem. We can get the licenses, we can get the permits, we can get the local operational partners to come in and help us to manage these operations. But almost every single time, the conversation stops at two very important points. There's two things that is missing. Number one, the machine to get the job done. And number two, the money that is needed to launch these operations. And as we have been working together with the Polypetron 5, the challenge has been that the project budget that is needed to start one of these locations has easily been over 4 million euros, in average. Sometimes less, sometimes more, but in average 4 million euros, out of which about 3 million euros is the acquisition cost of the technology, with additional 1.5 million used, for example, to get things started in that specific location. And that's a lot of money. So if you think about our business and you think about our expansion, if every single time when we want to open up a new facility, we need to put together 4 million euros to get started, that's not maybe the most efficient and fastest way to move forward. Now, through these partnerships that we have now formed, we are able to use smaller machines with lower capital investment needed to start these operations, while at the same time providing higher return on investment. And that is something very, very important. Now, as Stefan mentioned, we've gone through and analyzed over 100 companies around the world. And eventually from there, we pinpointed 3 companies that we are now starting to collaborate project by project basis. We haven't formed any sort of long-term strategic partnership with any specific company. What we're going to do is we're going to look for the location and we're going to bring in the partners and the technologies which are the best and the most suitable for that specific location. But the technology that we have chosen to use is something called an advanced batch system. And these machines are able to process approximately 10,000 kilos of waste plastic and convert that into approximately 5,000 liters of oil, 300 times a year. So one of these machines is able to produce approximately 1.5 million liters of oil per year. The business plan and the strategy that we have now put in place involves including 2 of these machines, minimum, in every single project location where we are going to be operational. That means that these 2 units together will be able to produce approximately 3 million liters of fuel per year. And it allows us then to add additional machines, the 3rd one, the 4th one, the 5th one, so on and so on and so on. But most importantly, we need to be able to get started in these new locations. Now, something that you are probably going to find very interesting is that through these partnerships, we are no longer looking to invest millions of euros per one machine. Instead, we are now going to be investing a few 100,000 euros per machine. And this is going to change the speed of our expansion significantly. I can't highlight that enough, guys. Now, that means that by being able to invest less into the machines, while still having a very good output of oil that is produced, we are able to reduce the project budget for at least 50 to 60% from all of these locations where we're going to be active in. And that is very, very significant when we look forward for our next steps. Next slide, please. Yeah, so what we're actually looking, these should be all three together, but we're looking at a smaller investment. Next slide, please. Higher return on investment and faster expansion. That's what our business plan is all about. And the way that we can speed up this process even more is that we're going to be combining investments both from Cloud Horizon and from private equity investors. So we are no longer in a situation where we are depending 100% from Cloud Horizon money in order to get one of these operational sites up and running. Or we are no longer depending only from a private investor to finance the whole operations. This will allow us to speed this process and really, as the saying goes, pick the low-hanging fruits. We can start these operations faster and more efficiently by bringing also partnerships in the financial part of the business. Next slide, please. So, not a product, rather a solution. I would like to use as an example for you the Apple Computer Company and the situation where they were in the early 1980s. Well, some of you might remember that Apple had a product called Apple II computer. Apple II was their number one key product on the computer business, and they were selling those computers worth billions of dollars per year. And Apple II was a great computer. Apple II, in this example, is similar to our Polypetron department. A great product that was making a lot of money for Apple Computer Company at that time. But the company that was led by Steve Jobs at that moment decided that they needed a new product line. And they went on to create the Macintosh department. Now, Macintosh didn't have an easy start. The ones of you who know the company's history know this. Actually, it even led to Steve Jobs being fired from the company, which he then later returned as the CEO to. But eventually what happened was that the Apple II continued its sales and continued to make money for the company for the next coming years. But the Macintosh eventually evolved to become a full-scale solution, which I believe that most of you guys in this room today are using every day for your computer needs. And through this evolution, the Macintosh, in its own way, changed the world. Now for us, this new business division is our Macintosh department. And that is what we are going to be focusing and developing in the future. Now, what does this mean? It means that we are no longer in a product sales business. And with the product, I'm referring to the Polypetron and Sepco Industries, what we have been selling around the world. It's similar to staying with the Apple example. Like we've had a warehouse full of Apple products, iPhones, iPads, iPods, and so on. And we've been going around the world and selling these products to computer stores to take into their inventory. Instead, what we are going to do now is we are going to look for the best street corners around the world. In our case, they might be a little smelly and full of garbage. But we're looking for those gold mines. And instead of trying to sell our product, we're going to come in there and we're going to provide a full-scale business solution to every location that needs our help. And if you want to look at this business from another point of view, it's very, very similar to real estate development business. What we do is we look for the best location, the best land, where we can secure the raw material. We bring in the production partners, the operational partners, the financing, the technology, and we operate this location as our business. That is the target, and that is the way that we're going to be working with this new business division from now on. Now, I wanted to give you another example. I'll try to do as many examples so that we all understand exactly where we're heading. The McDonald's Corporation has tens of thousands of restaurants around the world. And last year, the McDonald's Corporation made about $21 billion in revenue, in income. $21 billion. Out of that $21 billion, $6.5 billion was rental income. For the reason that McDonald's is actually one of the largest real estate companies in the world, which owns more than $30 billion worth of real estate. It was actually one of the key people, he calls himself the founder, Mr. Ray Kroc, who was giving a speech to the students at the Harvard University, and he asked from the people that what is the business that I'm in? And everybody laughed, and yeah, of course, with hamburgers, you're the hamburger guy. He said, no, we are in the real estate business. And when more than 30% of your annual income comes from rental income, where the company owns these locations around the world, where franchise entrepreneurs are operating these businesses, that's a big real estate company. Now, in our business, we are looking at these gold mines around the world. Only here in Thailand, we got more than 2,000 landfills. All right? 2,000 locations. And in most of these landfills, we're looking at hundreds of millions of kilos of plastic garbage. Every year, only here in Thailand, the amount of new plastic waste that is being generated is more than 2 million tons a year. 2 million tons a year. That means that if we would focus now only on these machines that each one of them can take in that 10,000 kilos per time, we would need easily more than 600 of these machines only here in Thailand. And by doing that, we would be able to take care of the new plastic garbage that is being created every year. We wouldn't have time or resources to touch the waste that is already there in the landfills, that has been built up and accumulated over the last 70 years. So our target right now is to be able to go to these locations and lock down these landfills with long-term 30, 35, 50-year agreements where we can talk with the government and say, okay, we'll take over this location, we'll handle this waste over here, but we need a long-term agreement. Right now we have tens of locations where we can do that. But the question from the government every single time for us is, when are you going to get started? And if we have to put together 4 million, 5 million euros every single time to get started, the speed of expansion is going to be very low. By doing it in this way, where we can start off by having 2 of these units with a lower capital investment, it will allow us to quickly move into these locations and expand our business, and most importantly, increase the amount of oil which we are producing every day. Now, what's next? I'm very happy to tell you that we have already started this process several months ago, as Stefan mentioned before. And the next operational site that we are going to be opening and where we are going to be using these new partnership technologies will be here in Thailand. We are working towards a target to have this location to be as close as possible to Bangkok, which would also make it a great showroom for all of us who are working together. Now, as mentioned before, in every one of these locations, we will have at least 2 units, which means that these units together will be able to process and to generate approximately 3 million liters of oil per year. We have already confirmed the project partners for the next operational site, and as of last week, we have also now fully secured the project budget, the funding for this first location. So it's no longer about if it's going to happen, it will happen. And we have a great team of people who have now come together and are working towards the same goal of getting this new site up and running as fast as possible and to increase our production of fuel by the end of this year significantly. Our target for this year and to next year is to have new sites here in Thailand as well as in different parts of the world. And you will be hearing more about these plans and more about the development of the business in the next coming weeks. And I hope that we can have a very, very good teamwork solution where we all can come together and contribute on this. Now, once again, I would like to very much thank you all for your great support for our company and for this mission that we're all in together. You guys have done an amazing job over the last year and more, and it's truly, truly my honor to work together with all of you. Thank you very much.